The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." He replied, "What do you wish me to do for you?" They answered him, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or at my left is not mine to give, but is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority over them felt. But it shall not be so among you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Once upon a time, there lived an old man who had invested all his money and his only son's education. And the young man went away for a few years and he acquired his education at a well-known university under the great scholars of that age. The day had arrived for the son to return from his studies, and the old man waited at the door for his son. And when the son came and met his father, the old man looked into his eyes, and he felt great disappointment. "What have you learned, my son?" And his son said, "Oh, I have learned everything there was to be learned, Father." And then his father asked, "But what have you learned of what you cannot be taught?" "Go, my son, and learn about what cannot be taught." And so the young man went back to the greatest of the scholars he had studied under at the university, and he asked him to teach him about what cannot be taught. And the master scholar told him, "Go away to the mountains with these 100 sheep and come back when there are 1,000. And the young man went to the mountains and he became a shepherd. And there, for the first time, he encountered silence. He had no one to talk to. The sheep didn't understand his language. In his desperation, he would talk to them, but they would look back at him as if to say he was stupid. And slowly but surely, he began to forget all his worldly knowledge, his ego, his pride, and he became quite like the sheep, very quiet, and great wisdom and humility came to him. At the end of 2 years, when the number of sheep had grown to about 1,000, he returned to the master scholar of the university, and he fell at his feet. And the greatest of the scholars said, "Now you have learned about what cannot be taught." As we go and even grow through life and even choose a more spiritual path and even seek to stand in the Lord's presence day and night, there will always be more to learn of what we cannot be taught. Jesus or others may open the floor for questions, and we may even attempt to follow or imitate their example, but we never fully graduate or complete all there is to understand as Jesus understands us in this world. We're never so sure as God is sure. Even as Jesus lovingly gazes upon us, more will have to be learned of what just can't be taught along the way, in the silence of God, finding at least something in us a bit narrow, something shallow or hollow or empty or devoid of any real sense of integrity. We listen to the prophecy of Isaiah. Because of his or her affliction, he or she will see the light in fullness of days. Through his or her suffering, my servant shall justify many, and their guilt he shall bear. Mark's account reveals Jesus' humble schooling of the 12, those followers of his. With all being said, the shepherd must be where the suffering is. His or her own suffering and those they serve. Human life, human dignity, well-rounded, never finished. Suffering's meaning comes only in the way we respond to it. How we bear who we are, or what others have to bear. How we know or name the brokenness we find in the journey ourselves, or we find that in another person. And just as Jesus, the sacred wounds in him or ourselves or others as the way through. Nothing greater than a life well loved. I believe in God,
the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible.